Yo, what's shaking, everyone? Welcome back to Mindset Motivated with Sifu Zack George and yours truly, Robert Bruski, the podcast where we talk about all things mindset and motivational related. So I think we should just jump right into this episode.
Okay, man.
I want to give our listeners and viewers a really incredible story. Incredible. This is groundbreaking. All right. So Zack George and myself, we're sitting here thinking about what we're going to talk about in this episode. And there was a moment, like
I'd say a good 45 seconds
of silence.
Dead silence.
Where we thought to ourselves,
holy shit.
What are we going to talk about?
This is complicated.
What did we plan? Is this getting so complicated? Like,
why is it so complicated?
It was, anyways. This episode is on overcomplication.
Overcomplication. Imagine that.
Just going way too far into something. You know, there's this philosophy called Occam's razor, which generally means the simplest solution is probably the correct solution.
Kiss.
You know? Yeah, keep it sophisticatedly simple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, before I hand it over to you, I thought I would share some of my feelings on overcomplication. I love it. I tend to overcomplicate things a lot because in my mind, I'm not overcomplicating. I'm just complicating, you know? It's not too much. It's just enough to figure out all the right here and there and what I got to do and whatever it is. And I find that I get a lot of great output out of that. But every so often, I overcomplicate things. And I'm always reminded of Wilfredo Pareto's 80-20 principle. Right? Which generally says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your input, you know, or 80% of your struggles come from 20% of your problems, you know. So I just remember that, and I just say to myself, okay, Rob, you gotta chill. You gotta stop overcomplicating things because you're gonna get a headache.
Yeah.
So tell me about your relationship with overcomplication, Zack.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, man. Okay. So, overcomplication, I mean, when I do things, I don't make them complicated enough. I kind of just throw a broad idea up of where I want to go. And I say, this is what we're doing. And everybody's kind of looking around like,
yeah,
okay. And then I have people come in that help me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like they overcomplicate things. There's all these little details. Yep. There's all this little mess. So this is my relationship with overcomplication. However, I think that anytime you're trudging through a forest trying to get somewhere and you don't know where to go, things get complicated. There's an old saying, there's no straight road to enlightenment. You know, everybody's road is different. Sometimes it's windy. Sometimes you're on a path and you get distracted by a vendor on the side of the path and you end up coming way off track.
Yep.
The point is, I think that we want to lay a path in the ground that we can always come back and return to. A simple path, you know. And I know yin and yang. If I find somebody, if I'm somebody that tries to do things and I have complications with details, right?
Yeah.
I need to source somebody out that is strong at that part of it.
Yep.
I don't have the whole picture all the time.
Right.
You know, so I will overcomplicate things trying to do things. So you need to find somebody that thrives on complicated small tasks.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times the entrepreneur isn't the super organized guy that has to have control, OCD over everything. It's a person that just throws things out there, and the people that are, you know, more organized fit into these places. So I guess it's figuring out where your strengths are and not overcomplicate, just keep it simple. And you know what? I had to come to terms with the fact that I run a business, but I'm not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a janitor. I am all these things. I'm not a counselor, but I am.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, I have to stick to what I know and what I do. So I come back to my program of teaching martial arts, and I make that less complicated to follow.
Yeah.
I sit down and I make sure that I have something tangible that you can see, you can touch, you can read, and you can understand. And I always come back to that to bring order back into my own personal life.
Yeah,
Overcomplication, I think, comes in when we're trenching into areas where we're not really an expert in
exactly.
this area.
Overcomplication could be a matter of perspective, right?
Yeah.
Accounting is a really good example because there's so many small little rules, especially if you have a very complex
but some people,
system.
It's simple for.
Yeah, it's simple,
right?
and for
It's
another
simple.
person, it's not.
So for my accountant, if I asked him to teach Kung Fu or run a class, that would be overcomplicated.
Yeah.
He'd overcomplicate it.
You could say, hey,
nuts.
kick this bag, they'll kick it, and then when you start
kick this
talking
bag
about
3 times, and when you're done, minus the power of 2 to,
make sure you move your hips this way, and you got to move your heel this way. They'll be like, oh my gosh, can't I just kick it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there is this fantastic book. It's a business book, but it's used very heavily within the franchise industry. It's called Traction. It's written by Gino Wickman, and it references the EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And he kind of, in one part of the book, he talks about the structure of a business. And he says that there's two types of people usually at the leadership level. One is the visionary and one is the integrator. And the visionary will come up with a number of different ideas. Most of them get thrown out, right? The integrator is the one that's gonna make it happen and deals with the ops department, the marketing department, the accounting department, put all that
built
together.
an integrator part to what we're doing at
That's awesome.
Because I found a lot of ideas are out there, but none of them are actually materializing or getting done. They're great ideas. There's a plan to them.
Yep.
But nothing's getting done. You need an integrator.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you try to be both, you're gonna overcomplicate everything.
Yeah. And from the integrator standpoint, if you're talking to a visionary and the visionary is saying something like, man, like we're gonna have a conference, maybe we can get Aerosmith to perform and we'll get a 50-foot stage and we can get lights from there. The integrator's like, this is so complicated. If we're having a conference, why don't we just get everyone into the boardroom,
Yeah.
So like overcomplication and complication is completely a matter of perspective, I think, unless you're sitting here trying to wonder what you're going to talk about on an overcomplication podcast.
Yeah, no kidding.
Should we go this way or this way?
My best advice, if you find that you're constantly overcomplicating things, find a mentor.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a one-on-one. It could be a Tony Robbins, or it could be whatever. And try to keep that as, when things get complicated, just remember what you're trying to be like, or reach out to your mentor and somebody who's gotten what you want or walk the path that you have. And they'll usually make things quite simple. I always find older people just have the simplest, older people and children, and young children have very easy ways of explaining.
They just chill.
It's just not complicated. It's like once you get into life and the hustle and bustle, we start to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a nephew who you put a garbage truck toy, a fire truck, a police car, or whatever. He'll say they're all trash truck.
Yeah.
His favorite TV show is Trash Truck.
That's right, man. Yeah, he doesn't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's a truck. I like it. It's trash truck.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, let's wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, Mindset Motivated with Zack George and Robert Bruski. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share.
Keep it simple.
And stay frosty.